Okay, today is August the 17th of 2026, and I'm calling this meeting of the Economic Improvement Corporation to order. And we will start out with our invocation.
Let's bow our heads in prayer, please. Dear Lord, yesterday is history and tomorrow is a mystery. Today is one of your great gifts. Maybe that's the reason they call it the present. Let us make the most of it and make really good decisions about what is before us. We ask for forgiveness and help with Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
And visitors forum, do we have anybody signed up to speak?
I'm going to speak. It's a little bit of an odd moment, and I hope you'll forgive me not having it officially as an item on the agenda, but last week you all met, and we didn't get a chance to introduce our new Economic Development Manager. And so Wanima Martinez is our new Economic Development Manager. She comes to us from the city of Mesquite. Wanima has about 10 years worth of experience in total, a lot of working in downtowns and grant writing and a lot of things economic development. So we're excited to have her on board. And I want to say a little bit to the board here. Not that I've prepped you for it. Put you under the gun here. Come on.
Nothing too exciting. I'm just excited to work with you all and see what we have in the future. That's pretty much it. But thank
We're
you so
excited
much.
to have you. Wanima.
Welcome. Welcome.
Ms. Wanima has already changed up our entire website. So if you go on the city's economic development page, it used to be kind of almost a listserv, kind of generic, and looked like a lot of our other pages. And she's kind of she just took a look at it and said, here are changes I think I'd make. And we said, go forth and do. And so if you go on the city's Economic Improvement Corporation website, you'll see a lot of new things on there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yep.
I have a meeting I'd like to invite you to on Thursday at 1:30. Seriously.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll get with you after, and then we can go from there.
Perfect.
Great. Okay, we're going to be looking at initially the meetings of our regular EIC meeting that was held on July the 20th. Did anyone see any corrections or things that they want to talk about from those minutes? I have a motion to approve them.
Motion.
Second.
To approve the minutes from July the 20th. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. And then from the minutes from our special called EIC meeting that was held on August the 10th. Is anything different on those minutes that you would like to say? Anything someone would like to? Okay. Make a motion. Have a motion to approve those minutes.
I move to approve the minutes from the special called meeting on August the 10th, 26.
Okay. All approve.
Aye.
Passed unanimously, however you. All right, our monthly reports. We're going to start with Todd, with Kerr Development Corporation, Economic Development Corporation.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Board. Good to see you again. Thanks for having me here for an update on the Kerr EDC. I want to give you a snapshot here. This is as of June 30th. This is our fiscal activity within our budget. This puts us just past the 6-month threshold into the 7th month of our operations, and everything is going smooth. We also, too, as we come up here in a minute, I'll show you some additional financials that Kerr EDC is the fiscal sponsor for Kerr Together and the grants that we've been receiving for recovery, both in 25 and some new upcoming grant funding that Kerr Together has received, as EDC being just the fiscal sponsor and the pass-through for the funds, which is also managed by Julie and her team at the city. Any questions on the budget? Quick summary here on our business retention and expansion. These are the three I wanted to give you a quick update on. Project Wolf Creek, we've been discussing this and had our executive session last time. That has been postponed. We plan on bringing that back to our next EDC. Postponed on our end, we'll bring it back to have a further discussion from our follow-up from our July meeting. That project is still moving forward. Project Save is again one I love to give an update on. This is a local family here in town that has the wearable company and software company in the medical field and are getting some traction with some capital infusion from an investor that has enabled them to hire some additional staff. So we're really excited about that program moving because it's a family, brother and sister family here in Kerr County. K2 is one of our local manufacturers pursuing an expansion. I've updated you this on before. And they also have contracted with a site development and a contractor to help build out what it's going to look like in their expansion. I'm going to be really excited to bring this back to you. Probably the last update I had on this one would probably be somewhere maybe first quarter, second quarter of 27, where we'll have a little more firm idea of what their actual expansion plans are going to be. I know they've made some internal big moves up to this point, but we'll have something a little more to report back probably in the second quarter of 27. Any questions on these projects? Wanted to also let you know, this is our EDC Employer Leadership Roundtable. This was actually scheduled to be in August. We canceled it due to the lack of response. Obviously, from the 26 flood, it hampered the response. So we are partnering with Dr. Allen and the CTWD. We are going to host this at Schreiner University, and what this will be is some of our larger employers that we put together in an employer roundtable. This was also slated to happen last year in 25 and got postponed to 26 and then postponed one more month to September. I look forward to reporting back to the EIC board on this roundtable. This is one of the things that I identified back in early 25 before taking this position. Meeting with a lot of the employers prior to taking on this executive director role. I was going with the employer side and the educator side, met with all the ISDs and either their principals or their superintendents to talk about what's missing, what is the disconnect between our schools and our certificate programs and entrepreneur programs. And so that started back, probably back in April of 25. So it's nice to see this finally coming to fruition. I'm pretty stubborn on making sure this happens in September this time. So look forward to reporting back to the outcome of this roundtable. We haven't had these roundtables since Teresa left in 2022. And it was interesting, everyone I talked to talked about they missed that opportunity because what it does is it gathers all the C-suite in a same room to be able to talk about their existing problems that they currently have, whether it be software problems, whether it be hiring, workforce problems, and it gives them the opportunity to brainstorm together in a comfortable setting. So look forward to reporting back the outcome of that. A couple of the recruitment projects, Project River Paddle, a healthcare-related company, evaluating an expansion of their operations into Kerr County. Currently, EDC's role, along with the city of Kerrville, and Winema actually stepped into this one, is helping out in this process. Been having conversations with their site selectors, looking for locations that may work for them in the area. Project Meridian is development of a locally based on-demand aviation service for out at the airport. That one has been, I haven't talked to this project owner. They've been a little preoccupied since the flood, so I look forward to catching back up with him next month and find out where he's at. He was looking for additional investors. He had two, potentially could get the project off the ground with a third, and that was our last conversation. Project Granite is another project. This is a retail specialty operation that is looking to expand their locations. They currently have locations across Texas, looking to reestablish themselves in Kerrville. Talked with the broker on this project, and they are still working on the site infrastructure development, and that update was as of last week. And I also wanted to bring to your attention a new business in town that actually came. EDC's role in this was actually helping out the realtor out of Bernie identify a site for this company to come in and some details of the site. If you get a chance, go to this website, wetwrx.com, and that dash is not there. I believe it's just straight wetwrx.com. Very interesting military family, small business looking to employ 5 to 6 individuals, and they manufacture which is special operations type of equipment, gunslings, bulletproof vest sleeves. Really interesting site. They were actually in Kendall County and moved their operations into Kerr County, not in the city of Kerrville proper, literally right on the line on Roy Street of the city limits. They bought a nice piece of property there with a building on it. Went and visited with them, and they were in the process of upfitting it, putting all their equipment in. But if you get a chance, go to that website. It's pretty interesting what they'll be manufacturing in Kerr County now. Any questions on the recruitment side? So this is the Kerr Together grant funding summary. These, as you will see, listed under the grant name, excuse me. These grants are monies that was received in 2025 due to the fact that Kerr Together did not have its 501c3 status. It was a brand new organization. I'm pleased to tell you that as of a week and a half ago, we received our letter of formation from the Secretary of State, of which they met with an attorney today, finalizing all the bylaws to go get nonprofit status from the IRS. We're being told that that potentially could take anywhere from 2 to 8 weeks or even longer in some cases. We're looking for a couple of avenues to see if we can't expedite that, since this is an LTRG within a double disaster, that maybe we can get that IRS. And what that's going to do for us moving forward is the EDC will be phasing out of the fiscal sponsorship for these grants. And we're looking to have a partnership with Jim in the interim that will help manage these grants. The difference between 25 and 26 is we are actively seeking funding not only for the operations but also for programming that was available last year that is not available for 2026. As we discussed last time, looking for programming funding dollars to help small business and individuals in this case now to help find funding solutions to help programmings. And the Kerr Together board is responsible for how this money and the grants dictate how this money is spent. We'll see the very top portion up there was some of our first grants that came through and some reallocations. One Star Rebuild, we did have a conversation and we met up with One Star Rebuild. I'll just kind of share with you what the funding looks like for 2026. In 2025, One Star has funded Kerr Together with EDC as a fiscal sponsor just over $1 million in operations, in programming, in hunt preservation, LTRG. As of our phone conversation last week, the One Star Rebuild Texas it's not the state of Texas, but an arm of the office of the governor, where he was sitting making the announcements. You saw the big 2 QR codes, and that is where the money was being prompted to go by the governor. They had raised $150,000 total, and 2025 was in the millions. So just to kind of give you an idea of the struggles that we're having when it comes to funding for either the operations or programming during this 26 flood. Any questions on the Kerr Together grants that EDC is fiscal sponsor for?
So that 1 million that they had, that all has to go towards 2025 flood recovery?
So we had that conversation, and we're working through that, potentially grant amendments on those. They have given us the green light to take some of the funding. You see at the very bottom where it turns from white to green, you see One Star Rebuild Texas Long-Term Recovery Group number 2. That is an additional $535,000 that came in May, before the 26 flood. We are looking to potentially reallocate some of those funds, which has to go through an amendment to their board. He has invited us for us to sit down as a budgetary group and identify the current needs of 26. They are also going to go back to their board of directors and see through their funders and donors, as has the Community Foundation done, to see if any of that 25 money, which they still have some, can be reallocated to 2026. And when I say that rebuild was not just for Kerr County, that was for Uvalde and all the counties. $150,000 was the total amount of money that has come in. I do want to bring up one that we didn't have the last time. If you look at the very bottom line, you see the Lee and Ramona Bass Foundation #2. This is their second round of funding. Mr. Pete Guerin, who works for Mr. Bass and his wife, approached us to see about what we needed to do for William and Kim, our disaster consultants, and asked if we would entertain keeping them on through the end of their contract. Their contract, William's last day is actually the 21st. He's been here a year. So they put together a budget, and William will retain on as a consultant for Kerr Together in Kerr County through August of 2027 as a donation from the Bass family.
Is that gonna be local, or does he go home and doing that remote?
He'll be remote. He is going home. He just bought a new house prior to 26 flood. If it wouldn't, we had it all geared up potentially for him to stay, but literally he closed on a house, I believe in June. And so he'll be going back to Florida. But he has in that budget, there is travel money for him to come back and actually make in-person visits if need be. Any questions on the Kerr Together funding?
So Todd, the budget adjustments, what are those? Some of those are minus, some are plus.
The blue column.
The blue column.
So for an example, let's use the HEB Long-Term Recovery Group. You see that 124 there?
Mm-hmm.
We had the $200,000, and what that was for a temporary PIO and to start our marketing campaign and get a website up and running. So we were able to do that with under the $200,000 budget. So what we did at that time is we reached out to HEB and said, okay, so we have an overabundance of funding in this area. We have a project in which we feel is more fitting for that money. Can we amend that $200,000 and take $124,000 of that and put that towards other projects? One of those other projects was the dive program. That was reallocated down to the dive program, of which they kicked in an additional $60,000 to shore that dive program up, along with the 124. So some of those budget amendments and adjustments were requests by those from that grant money to be reallocated within the programming itself.
And the Arts Foundation, they came up with some money that wasn't a grant, or what?
So thank you for asking. So in the Hill Country Arts Foundation, we had received some funding from Lee and Ramona Bass. That was money that was William and Kim's discretionary fund. I believe that total fund was about $25,000 that they could use to pay consultants. So what we did was we went and used some of their discretionary funds out of the original $330,000 from Mr. and Miss Bass in their first round of funding for William and Kim, and reallocated that $22,578. It specifically went to the Hill Country Arts Foundation, along with a little bit of HEB money, and along with another grant that we had reallocated. I believe it was from the rebuild grant, the 535. We had additional $20,000 that we were able to reallocate. And what that was for specifically is Hill Country Arts Foundation, HCAF, was able to go out and secure an architect and some consultants on their own, and needed a little additional funding for grant writing to help get their new campus laid out with their architect, and with a gentleman that is very renowned in the arts world, has He's getting paid, but at a much reduced price to come in and help them out. And we found funding through those original grants up there to help fund them. Same with the West Kerr street engineering contract, same with the West Kerr. They were the fiscal sponsors that actually took grant money that we had up top, that was additional grant money that we repurposed. And the EDC then transferred that money over to the West Kerr Chamber in order to manage that project, since we're just the fiscal sponsor, and the EDC wasn't physically going to manage those employees.
Thank you.
Any further questions? This is, just wanted to kind of bring this up to date. These numbers are as of August the 12th. When we put the slideshow together. Just wanted to kind of give you an idea of what we're looking at as far as numbers. You can see August 8th, and then you can see August 12th. These are the ISTAT numbers. These are the numbers in which we, Kerr together, had the intake at 98 Coronado, plus a off-site in Center Point, one at the Doyle Center and one at the Ingram Volunteer Fire Department. And the ISTAT is the Texas Department of Emergency Management's database that comes in to assess the needs in a disaster. Unfortunately, we knew what ISTAT was from 2025, and we were able to implement it extremely quickly and get a lot of these numbers. Matter of fact, we were told by TDM that this is the most 7 days post-disaster ISTAT numbers that they've ever received in any disaster that she'd ever worked, and that was back 7 days post-disaster. I think we were looking at somewhere around 800 at that time. These are called verified numbers. So if you look on August the 12th, the residential, there were 953 total residential ISTAT forms filled out, and major or destroyed of those, and this is homes, that's individuals, were 223 either major damage or considered destroyed. So if you put in and you filled out an ISTAT form, what happened after that is someone went out and verified your address and the type of damage that you received. So we have the businesses broke out of the ISTATs. The total number of ISTATs were 1,075, businesses were 122, and as of August 12th, that was 25 major destroyed buildings and businesses. These numbers change frequently. There's updated numbers as of today, but we had this for the slideshow. Just kind of wanted to give you an idea, just an overall idea of the magnitude. I believe in 2025, the total number of ISTAT forms that were filled out, where you have this total number here of 1,075, we had 551 in 2025 total. Any update on the FEMA declaration? Spent half the day today working through that, wondering that. I think everybody's wondering. I will tell you this, from a novice, when you go through, obviously, Michael could speak to this better than I, but there is thresholds for PA. But when you go into individual assistance and when you go into individual home, IHA, which is helping folks that right now are running out of Airbnb nights, they don't have anymore. We don't have temporary housing. When that runs out, they're literally either go to a neighbor or a friend or somebody else that'll give them shelter. FEMA comes in with an IHA program too to help offset those expenses to individuals. And there is not a formula anywhere that anybody could find, nor we were told last year was there a formula for individual assistance. No further questions. That concludes update.
Do you know if the all-county request has gone to the White House yet?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I can tell you for sure. I have seen the letters from Senator Cruz, Senator Cornyn. We are going to be meeting with Congressman Chip Roy on Friday to give him an overall assessment of where we're at, what our challenges are. I know we've been given updates that we're just waiting. But yes, the ask has been made. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments, questions? Thank you, Todd.
Thank you, Todd.
Okay, we are at 4B, and we will receive the EIC Project Status update from Michael.
Yes, ma'am. Looking down the list of projects that we still have ongoing or questions about, the Olympic pool reservations are still ongoing. So it looks like we're gonna have a mid-September completion date from them. We still have some work to do on that project, but it's getting closer to being substantially complete. We're all looking forward to that. I don't need that. Yeah, we're looking forward to that. The Calu Theater improvements, the last piece is just having the fire marshal meet with P2K and go through the fire alarm. And so we've been down to punch list items for a while, and now we're beyond that. And so they've obviously been using the theater while all the punch list stuff has been going on, so it hasn't affected any of their operations. The Travis Street Pump Station upsizing, that was awarded in June, or May, sorry. And so once we have the NT notice to proceed on that, that contract has a 330-day calendar. So it should be about this time a little bit before this time next year. So I'd say usually takes us about a month to a month and a half to get insurance, bonds, all the rest of it compiled before they'll get their notice to proceed. So probably August of next year, that should be complete. The AC Shriner House is all complete. They're off and going. If y'all hadn't had a chance to go get in there and look at all their offerings, you should do that. Bring your friends, bring your neighbors. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors. They cannot charge for entry. That is a donation-based board. So that board fundraises for themselves. They do not take payments at the door for folks. They take donations, but they don't charge for those fees. So it's a beautiful house, and the group that did it did a great job. But
Have you heard from them about any kind of numbers that are showing up?
I have not. Kim, we can bring some numbers back next month, I'd say. Sure. Yeah, we'll have some numbers for you next month. That falls under, that's a library asset, so once we're done building it, my part goes away. But we'll get those back to you next month. And Shriner University, the Center for Talent and Workforce Development, you have a slide on your desk there. And Lucian, I just emailed him back last week about they want to come present either in September or October, and so I told him we could do either one. And so I think probably October they'll come do some presentations with Dr. Allen and talk through what they've got going on. But they are blowing and going. They have I think they're up to 1,800 students now, if I'm not mistaken. So they've got a pretty good incoming class. So their numbers are rising. The football program is doing increasing those numbers. So it's not 400 football players, but oh, they do charge for admission. Oh. Apparently I was wrong. They do charge for admission to go into the
That's
HHHC
good.
place. All right. James Avery traffic signal. We are, as always, continuing to wait for our partners at TxDOT to review their donation agreement. I think it usually goes to legal and then legal back down to their programming and then back to legal, and kind of, I never know. I bug Paul Zip about it all the time over at James Avery, and yet to hear too much. Last week, you all had mentioned the Quinlan Creek Interceptor project. Is that something that we've already awarded? So we have engineering contracts out with Friesen Nichols to help us design that project. So I need to get an updated timeline on when
You have to wait for the engineering to be complete to submit for that federal fund?
No, sir, we do not.
No.
We had to have we thought we had enough because we have master plans, and that Quinlan Creek Interceptor is listed within those master plans. The report required what's called a preliminary engineering report, which is kind of the middle ground between you have it listed in your master plan and you have a full engineering report. Here's this preliminary engineering report. That had to be completed for the application. And so they have completed that.
So the application's been submitted?
Oh, yeah, yes, sir.
What do we expect to hear on that?
It looks like it's gonna be October before we hear back. Again, the federal bureaucracy waiting to figure out, but that's kind of my lay of the land, is that October, when their fiscal year starts again, is when they're gonna reach back out to us and let us know.
Feel very confident we're gonna be able to tap into that?
I'm confident. I wouldn't put the very. I mean, I am confident that they will take it up. I think the challenge is that memories are short. And a lot of things happen between when we had our flood and today, right? So regionally, they review it and make their approvals known, and then they have to submit those to the national office in DC, and then they have to review that. So much like the disaster declaration, it'll
So
sit
should
on.
we be slowing down the actual engineering to see if we're gonna get that until October so that
No.
we don't spend that money?
That money's obligated. We're under contract with them to fulfill that agreement, so
That engineering's good
that'll be good forever.
forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we had talked about that initially, that there is no guarantee with a federal grant application. There's a hope in there, right? And that was part of the conversation. Now, that was pre-flooding, so I understand what you're getting after. If there's a way to slow some of this down to, save. But that ship is passed.
Okay.
And with that, if y'all have any questions about any of the projects, I'm here to answer them.
Is this where you want to talk about the?
Absolutely, actually, this is a good time. I'm sorry. So, it's not a project on our list, but it's a project that we considered last week, right? And it doesn't appear that it's something that we're gonna be able to do as far as funding small business grants. I'm as sad about it as all y'all are. I know it's a frustrating thing for us to kind of gotten to that point, not had the answers that we were all seeking, but when I tell you that we are running on all cylinders, we are running on all cylinders. This is, when I get done with this meeting, I move to debris, or I move to some other project that we're working on. And so, speaking with Todd actually earlier, one of the nuances in state law is that there are a million different carve-outs, and you don't know what they all are. We had reached out back in 2023 for some reason to the Greater Brownsville Economic Development Corporation, and they were able to utilize their 4A sales tax dollars, which is much more restrictive than your 4B sales tax dollars, to help out their local businesses. And I think they used somewhere around half of their funds, because within the statute, it literally says that if you're within this many miles of a foreign country during a disaster, you can do this, right? So as we were working through that and bringing this to y'all, we don't know what we don't know, right? And so we were hopeful that this was something that could be considered, right? So much so that, recommendations were to move forward and call for a public hearing. Subsequent to that, y'all got notice from William that further review, it's even more restrictive than we had thought in terms of the job codes that are allowed. And so, in Mike Hayes' terms, no, I'm not even going to use those terms, it doesn't appear that it would be an effective tool to use EIC dollars for this, right? Because it would be such a narrow interpretation, almost no businesses would qualify, because you're talking about wanting to use it for businesses that were affected by the flood. And so many of those fall outside of what we might consider flood-related, right? Although I'd say we could probably use a liberal interpretation of that as well. it wasn't a sense of, lack of interest or urgency on our part. We're trying to figure out a way to a yes. All the time. We were trying to figure out a way to a yes. And sometimes we don't know it up until the day we're speaking to you, and sometimes after. So I know that created some frustration. I know it, puts the cart before the horse. I think we understood the urgency of what you all wanted us to present to you. We brought it back as quickly as we could. On the brighter side, not all of the dollars within city's confines are as restrictive as y'all's. So the tax increment reinvestment zone was able to up their allotment of grants to downtown businesses. That's coming to council actually next week for, we call them facade improvement grants and parking lot improvement grants. And so that's a more narrow defined area. That's the TERS district, which is more centrally located downtown. However, that hits Town Creek, right? A lot of those businesses that were affected by that. And so that was $150,000, and that's been, the ask is to increase that up to $250,000. And so we'll open up those applications that were already closed, open them back up to more applicants, and we look forward to that. One of the things this does highlight, because we deal in policy, we don't deal in expediency very well because we're the government, is that we do represent 50% of the sales tax dollars that you all receive come from retail businesses, which aren't considered primary jobs. To say that I was frustrated is an understatement, that we couldn't figure out a way to do this. And the reason is because state law doesn't allow you to. But the legislature's fixing to meet. And it seems like during these times, if you have a willing board, you have a willing council, and we have the legal ability to do it, I think that option should at least be there, right? And so we're going to recommend to the legislative boards that we make some asks of the legislature to amend this, because it's frustrating, right? The 60 days is frustrating. The restriction on who and how you can use those funds is frustrating. And so who knows where that would go, but that's a recommendation we have moving forward. And that's what I have.
Thank you, Michael. Does anybody have any questions of Michael or William? I hope everybody did get an opportunity to read William's deep research that he went into to see if we could find a way to utilize that. I do want to thank you, William, for that, really pursuing that and trying to find is whatever you could find to help us out.
Absolutely. If you have any questions, just let me know.
I know everybody's disappointed. It was something that we all wanted to do. But thank you for doing that. Anybody else have any comments they want to make at this time around what we did? So I'm going to suggest that we cancel the public hearing. And can we do that? Can we do that in the papers fairly immediately?
We don't have to do it in the papers. We can just, talking to William earlier, we can just not have it on the agenda. We can do a public notice. We'll put something out from the city that it won't be considered. Kind of talk through all those reasons why. So again, sorry. I like bringing things to y'all that come to a yes. It's my job, you know. So when they don't, we don't like it. So I do have one more because I didn't talk about Granger MacDonald. So the city delayed Granger MacDonald's project for 6 months. The city received a word from both the Upper Guadalupe River Center and the MacDonald Corporation to see if the city would be willing to return that property back to either one of those entities. There's a few legal ways that we can do that. City Council hasn't had a chance to have that on their agenda for due consideration. What their recommendation was to delay the project for 6 months. That's the official action thus far. But I think there will be at the next council meeting, that brought before city council that there was a request to consider it's abandoning the property, essentially. And then there's, two other options. One is to retain the property and wait 6 months and we bring it all back. That's kind of what I thought I was gonna do initially. But just so you all know, because y'all are the funders, funding through the city, and then the city, we'd gotten all the way through contract documents for that project. So there's about $1.8 million left in that budget, about 1.9. And so if that were to change, as soon as we know that, we'll let y'all know. And then if that were to happen, what would then come next would be the EIC and the city council kind of discussing really what would you like to present to city council to use for those bond funds. Those bond funds would have to be spent within the confines of what's written in the bond, which is basically park related.
Quality of life.
Staff's recommendation would be to use some of those funds probably for the river trail repair. Just initially, that was kind of our first thought, the easy button. So more to follow on that, but you all are the funders of that project. Council has delayed it. And the former property owners and the nonprofit partner have made a request to take that property back. We add one more to the mix. I don't want to add one more to the mix. No more partners on this project.
And then I think that we have already met the requirement that 80% of those sales tax bond funds be used within 3 years.
Yes, ma'am. It's
So we don't have to worry about the timing of that.
It's 85%, so that's $3 million, right? And so we will have expended $17 million by that time, even if you don't spend those
Right.
1.8 million.
That wouldn't be a concern about when that money goes out.
No, ma'am, that is correct.
Do you have any questions about that? All right, thank you. It looks like Julie is going to be with us.
Yeah. Let Trina take a vacation, so
What?
I'm gonna try, y'all. See if I can't keep from getting y'all confused. So, financial update ending July 31st, 2026. So again, we usually outline this for you guys in 2 separate sections, so a little easier to follow. So your bond fund statement of activities is first here. So you can see over to the right, your cash and investments in your bond funds, so $7.5 million. Remaining interest for July was $26,000. For the life of the bonds, interest about $2 million. So some pretty good investment revenue there. And I know Trina's talked to you over time about the arbitrage calculation, things like that, which we'll continue to bring that to you. Going down and looking at your expenses for July, so $349,000 for the Olympic pool improvements, and then $312,000 for Callow, and as Michael mentioned, that is wrapping up. So that $312,000 was retainage, so we're starting to see that project come close to closing out.
But does that mean that there'll be some left over if that was? Oh, no. Okay.
No,
Contract retainage, it's-
Yeah, it's just
when they finish it, we gotta give it to
when we
them.
finish it, we have to
Okay.
pay the retainage back to
Got
the
it.
contractor.
Got it now.
So yes.
Okay.
So that should be closing out pretty soon, so we'll be able to bring you a full recap of exactly how much was expended on that project. You can see the total for each project that was spent on your right, so I think that kind of answers the question following up to Celeste's question about 85% of those bond proceeds being spent, so not going to be a problem there. Overall, for the month of July, reduction in net position of $637,000, and that is directly related to those projects that were paid out. So your next slide here is your regular operations. So sales tax for the month of July, $425,000, about 1.5% over last July. I can tell you unofficially, because it's not reflected here, that August is up about 14%, so pretty strong August month. That's just new, hot off the presses actually yesterday. So we expect you to end better than budget for sales tax. But do remember, we have a 2-month lag, so it really takes us till November to give you a full report out on what sales tax actually does with those accruals for this year. So Interest revenue is about 56,000 better than budget estimate. Your interest revenue for July was 22,649,000. And then you had a commercial paper investment mature for 1 million, so you saw that money come in. And then expenses, 18,000 for the city of Kerrville contract, and then debt service payments of 213,000 that were paid out. So there was an investment made of that those mature funds, so back into a U.S. Treasury note at a 4.07 yield, which is better than your pools. Your pools right now are about 3.8, which is still pretty strong in the market we are. So that was a pretty good grab there for them on that $1 million. So no project activity for this month, but overall you had a $211,000 positive change in net position for your operations. So your cash flow, you guys saw a much more extensive version of this at your last meeting. This gets updated every month as if, your new sales tax comes in, and then any project expenses related. And then, of course, it's projected out over the next however many years. Trina has this thing projected out. But you can see that, again, sales tax, your ending cash balance for the entire month of July, $5.48 million. And your FY27 budget and revenue projections. So again, we budgeted 2% over where we thought the year was going to end. That was in July, but again, these change on a regular basis, but because of budget filing requirements, we have to land on something that we're going to project for an estimate. So we feel pretty good about that. But again, that 2-month lag, that's why those trends matter so much, and doing that analysis really matters. So, which kind of brings me to the next page when we talk about sales tax. Your rolling average right now, 3.75%, so that's 12 months of activity, looking at this 12 months compared to the previous 12 months. That's a lot better indicator than looking at month over month because of anomalies that happen along the way. So that's pretty good. Last year we were about flat on 12-month rolling average at this time, so quite an improvement there. You can see to the right your committed, dispersed, and project funds that are happened to date through the month of July, and then the remaining funding for each of those projects that you've already committed. And then down at the bottom, you can see your cash analysis. So this is your cash and investments, about $7.4 million when you add those together. Any questions on any of that?
Yeah, I know it's a one-time deal, but any explanation for a big bump in sales tax revenue?
Not yet. We just found,
that's a big leap.
and it happens, and that's why we like to use a rolling average instead, because sometimes
No,
you'll
I
just
get it.
see an anomaly. We get those reports from the comptroller. It takes us a couple weeks to really pick through those. We just don't have them yet. We can see things like someone paid early, or maybe someone paid late last year, and so you'll see a difference. That's why we don't like to look at month over month. There doesn't seem to be anything that's really sticking out that's big enough that would throw it drastically, because we can only see future period and prior period. We won't know for another couple of weeks before we have the reports. But that we see that sometimes. You just see like an 8% month, and then you'll see a 6% drop month. And
We
so,
gotta pick out the good news when we can find it.
hey, take it when you can get it. That's right. Take it when you can get it.
I'll be
Very
interested,
positive report, Julie.
Thank you.
I'll be interested to see 2 months from now, because Academy just opened. So you'll have 3 weeks from 3 weeks of the month of their sales, and 2 months from now.
Yep.
Good.
Okay. Any other questions?
Okay. Okay, we are moving to 5A. We're going to be looking at a partial release of the lien securing the repayment of the Economic Development Grant between the EIC and the Habitat for Humanity. And so we're going to let Mary talk to us about how this came about.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having us, and a great opportunity to come and say thank you. You guys were able to support 2 initiatives, affordable housing and disaster recovery. So Habitat had finished 30 homes, repaired and rebuilt 30 homes by the 1-year anniversary. And then 10 of those homes were Mariposa. So the Community Foundation, for anybody that couldn't rebuild or didn't want to on their land because of trauma and that, they paid us to build a Mariposa home on those lots. So 9 of those closed. 1 didn't because we had to adapt ADA for one client that we didn't know his dad was in a wheelchair and blind at the time. So we quickly redesigned their house and built it. So they're closed in August. So
Was Mariposa affected by the 2026 flood?
No, not at all. And in fact, the water, you do all the water studies and the retention and all of that. It was built for a 20-year flood, it held for 100. So it did exactly what it was supposed to and pushed the water down the streets. And then just a little bit in the yards for Weston Home Place. So it was great. So it held really well. But thanks, you guys. I mean, it is encouraging because you're doing this release of these liens. So there's 11 homes that have closed. They are appraising quite a bit higher in sales price. We sold them at $225 each, which is well below like what HUD considers an affordable price and what they appraised. So it's working, and all of the disaster families also sign the long-term affordability deed. And so if the house sells, it goes to another income qualified family. And so that means we have long-term affordability for years in Kerrville. And all of the disaster families we have rebuilt are all low income. So that's where we started. So, well, that's all we'll do is the low income. So you're doing a double gift. Thank you. And it's working. And it's encouraging to see how high the homes are appraising market rate, and then we're adjusting them to affordability. Because we just wanted to make sure we built a product that was truly affordable, that someone could afford at 80% MFI instead of funny math. So it's working.
Great plan to keep being able to reuse this gift over and over and over again. Yeah.
Right. Just
Anybody
gives
have any questions of Mary?
stability. So
All right, thank you, Mary.
that's it. But thank you. We could not have done it without y'all's investment, and we don't take that for granted, and we appreciate it. And we'll just keep it going. So
Great, it's great news. So if somebody would like to make a motion, I need you to read the specific liens that we are releasing, and just let me know if you want to be the one to make the motion. Okay, so you'll need to read that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I make a motion authorizing the recording of the partial release of deed of trust lien for lots 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 17, and block 1 of the Mariposa subdivision.
Second.
All those who approve? Pass unanimously. Okay, thank you. And let me see, I believe we're not calling an executive session. And I wanted to ask if anybody has comments we want to put for future agendas. All right, then we at 4:53 adjourn.